healing is by land acknowledgement, which is a way we can collectively and individually express gratitude and honor to those who have lived and worked on this land in the past and present. Good morning. We would like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of the first people of Seattle. We want to honor the Duwamish people, the past, present, and honor them with gratitude for the land itself and for the Duwamish tribe. While land acknowledgements are important, we must also align our words with action, such as paying rent to the Duwamish tribe. Add our names to petitions and federal acknowledgement of the Duwamish tribe. One way ADWAS does this is to pay rent to the Duwamish tribe. For more information on the Pay Rent program, please visit this website. Thank you for joining us. We would like to express gratitude and appreciation to those who have donated so far and continue to support ADWAS over the years. Our goal is to raise $15,000. You can find the thermometer rising on our website. We will monitor it throughout the program. We made the decision to host a virtual birthday fundraiser instead of an in-person, and that also included donating food to Mary's Place. To learn more about Mary's Place, please check out their website in the chat. It's important to ADWAS to support other nonprofit organizations and to create a more unified and equitable community. Hello, my name is Stephanie Mathis, and I am the Development Director here at ADWAS. I am a white female with gray hair. I have a black flower in my hair, a necklace with a heart on it, and a black cardigan jacket. I'm here to tell you about the Marilyn J. Smith Inspirational Award. It's an exemplary award named after Marilyn J. Smith, who was the founder of ADWAS. The intention of this award is to recognize those who have contributed to deaf, blind, and hard of hearing communities. So now we're going to find out who is the winner of this award for 2022, and we'll turn the time over to Ario Bello, who was the winner of the 2020 award, to announce our award winner this year. Hello, I am honored to present you the recipient of the Marilyn J. Smith Inspirational Award this year. The person who nominated her described this person as one who has dedicated her life and career to the advancement of the deaf, blind, and hard of hearing communities. This person is known as a problem solver in the deaf community and has a knack for both big picture thinking and an ability to focus on important details. This person is committed to the empowerment of marginalized members of the deaf community, no matter which of her many hats she's wearing. If you know this person, you know that this person loves learning and holds herself accountable for not only keeping up with, but leading conversations about intersectionality, equality, inclusion, representation, and empowerment. This person is the embodiment of collectivist values and is constantly collaborating with others in groundbreaking work, always with the community at the forefront. This person's commitment, drive, and hard work has been positively influencing local, national, and international deaf and deafblind communities for decades. This person has partnered with deaf, deafblind, and hard of hearing community members to advocate for their access and civil rights. They have worked with interpreters to help them grow their skills and hold them accountable for providing the best possible communication access for those utilizing interpreting services. For all of these reasons and more, this person deserves to be recognized for their continuing contributions to the deaf and deafblind communities. This award today goes to Miss Ellie Savidge. Oh, no. Oh. Wow, I don't know what to say. I'm shocked. That video, I truly was shocked in that moment. And when they asked me to join today, I was thrilled to do so. I'm still kind of in that moment where I'm feeling overwhelmed, and what a journey it's been, and to be able to share that with so many people along the way. I have cherished my opportunities to learn, and I'm still learning so much. And still, it's such an honor to receive this award, and to knowing Marilyn Smith, to feel that honor as well, that her name is part of this award, and those who have received it before me, and to be able to follow them. I really recognize just how many people there are that are part of this in our community. And so I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Hi, this is Stephanie. It's an honor to introduce to you our keynote speaker today, Sarah A. Young Bear Brown. She is a member of the Sac and Fox tribe of the Mississippi in Iowa, which includes the Meskwaki Nation. And she currently resides in Council Bluffs. She is a mother of 2 young children. She went to Iowa School for the Deaf and attended United Tribes Technical College in Bismarck, North Dakota. She walks in 2 different worlds, as a Meskwaki, and also she walks in the world as a deaf woman. It's an honor to turn our time over to our keynote speaker, Sarah Young Bear Brown.
What? Greetings in my native language. It surely is a pleasure to join you today and share my life experiences with you. So greetings, warm regards, and good morning to all of you. And well, I'm glad that you're here early this morning. As Stephanie said, my name is Sarah Young Bear Brown. I grew up using American Sign Language, and I was given a particular sign name, but as time passed, I'm using my Indigenous or Native sign to identify myself. My Indigenous name is Young Bear. So to be true to myself and my identity, my sign is Young. and then the claw hand shapes the bear. So that is how I'm recognized in my community and the community at large. And I wanted to bring that today to you to honor that part of my identity, my family, my traditions, and my people. I grew up in Iowa. We had stayed in Iowa because all of my family is there, my people are there, and it is our land. So as a deaf woman, as a Mskawi, that was where I grew, and that is where all of my experiences have been. I was in an area called Tawioma, which is about 3 hours away from Council Bluffs, Iowa. We relocated there because the Iowa School for the Deaf and Blind was there. My first experiences there began when I was 5 years old, which was a major step for me to go because it was the first major separation from my tribe, from my people, and our customs. However, it was a very exciting time for my parents because they were very proud and very pleased that I would have the opportunity to have an education and grow. Once I was at the school, I learned sign language and was able to communicate more effectively. And so I think ultimately it was a great choice. When I was 8 months old, my mother realized that I was deaf. And immediately she started working with different people in the area, doctors, providers, trying to figure out what to do with a deaf child. Someone recommended that she learn sign language. And she turned to the local community college where we had someone that would come teach our family sign and support me and our family as we learned and grew in this together so that we could communicate effectively. And that's something that I'm grateful for, and I know that my family is grateful for, especially at such a young age as an 8-month-old. Around the age of 3 or 4 years old, I was sent to a preschool. But the education there was severely lacking. There wasn't a lot of effort on their part to meet my needs as a deaf child. They used sign language. I just felt like I didn't fit in. There was no place for me there. And so the search began to figure out how to educate a deaf child. At that point, again, I was maybe 4 or 5 years old. And the very difficult decision was made, again, with my best interests at heart, to make a move from Council Bluff. Everything changed for me, our cultures, our tradition, our customs, everything that I had been used to, my day-to-day, even my traditional apparel, our dances that I had grown up seeing and participating in, which is the jingle dresses, which you may have seen. The dresses at Shayla, I apologize, I'm not able to see that well, but part of the dance is believed to have healing properties because the dresses are heavily decorated with bells. They're decorated and they have very different designs, different forms, but it is part of one of our customs and one of our dances. Not all of us, there are 574 tribes across the United States, and not one of us are the same. All of us are impacted by where we live, and by the climate. Some, are, in the South, are used to warmer weather. There are other tribes that are used to 4 seasons. So we have our traditional clothing based on our needs and our customs. Some of our traditional houses we have stepped away from, and we live in houses just like the majority of the community does. We rely on and we accept technology like the phone and the internet to communicate, and I'm grateful for that because everything on my path has made sure that I have had an education, but also to help me understand who I am, where I'm from, and where I belong. As a child, I remember watching my mother do beadwork for herself and our people. When I was 15 years old, I started doing beadwork as well. It was fairly easy to pick up since I had spent so much time watching my mother. And it was an incredible experience and has been a tremendous part of my life. Some of the things that I enjoy making are headpieces, jewelry, and other ceremonial jewelry. I also make, so all of this regalia I make for our different customs and our traditions, and to keep our traditions alive. My sister is also a beadworker, and this is our contribution to our people. It's a great blessing to be part of my family and our people and continue our traditions and our customs. I remember being roughly 12 years old, and I was in that transitionary phase between being a child and a young woman. I remember the first time I had my period, I was at the dorm of the school, and I had been playing basketball, and the dorm supervisor said, "Oh, you're now a woman." And I contacted my mother immediately, and because I knew that I needed that connection with my family, the dorm supervisor suggested that I do that too. And the dorm supervisor was shocked and amazed that there were certain rituals and things that I was doing and engaging in, doing as part of our tradition. They said that I needed to go to the health center, because, and I was taken there by the dorm supervisor because everyone else was in class. While I was there, my sister and my mother made the 4-hour trip to meet me there. And they immediately began to cover my head and wrap my body and keep me warm. And then they took me to the car and drove me home, put me on a 4-hour drive home. I remember getting to my room and having all of the windows covered because I wasn't able to see the moon, and I wasn't able to have contact with any men or boys. I could only have contact with other girls and women. But I'm grateful that my family, that my mother took that opportunity to help me make that transition to young womanhood in harmony with our traditions and customs. I missed school for a week, and which was fine. I was able to get an excuse because this is part of our tradition and our custom. And I appreciate their understanding. And the more I grew, the older I became, the more I started to really appreciate what my tribe's customs have to offer. Like I mentioned before, there are 574 tribes across the extension that is the United States. And I saw how many tribes had lost some of their traditions, some of their culture and their language. Now, as a mother of 2 children, I want to share those treasured experiences with my children so that they can carry on the legacy that we have. I teach my daughter how to do beadwork. My son is learning our traditional dances. And to be honest with you, I think if that part of my identity were to be stripped from me, I would be entirely lost. I would be empty. I wouldn't have a sense of duty, but I know what my responsibility is and what I should be doing and what I can do. Because I know that I have something to give to the future. Both of my children have names. One is Banditon, which means old fisherman. And my daughter's name is Wespa, which means red woman. My father named both of them. My name is Tikamikwa, which means woman waterway. So, because our clan is a fish clan. In our tribe, we have 7 clans. My mother is from the bear clan, and my father is from the fish clan, which is why our family follows the patriarchal line. My brothers and sisters, my mother's siblings, follow their clans' names and traditions. What is unfortunate to me at this point is that Indigenous people across the United States are struggling with drugs, alcohol, addiction, and abuse. And I'm recovering. I'm healing. I am an alcoholic and recovery. And there have been a lot of experiences that I've had and that others have had with the law. What I've learned is that many of us who struggle with alcoholism have been struggling with it for a long time. It's one of the most prevalent problems that impacts our tribes, because the youth are introduced to it just because people think it's funny. They want to see how they'll respond. They're introduced to alcohol at a very young age, maybe 12 or 13 years of age. And it's really hard it's something that's really hard to talk about and really difficult to address, especially in our clans and our tribes. We face a lot of challenges with denial and not wanting to accept that we have a problem. And then there's, we start to have clashes and we start to have more contact with the law because people are getting pulled over for DUIs. My boyfriend is Choctaw. He is a deaf man, also from Mississippi. He's from Mississippi, and I had never dated a native deaf person. He also struggled with alcoholism. When I became pregnant, I was able to stop. My son was born, and that was a big thing for us. It was because my son was born at 27 weeks. A full-term baby is born usually around 39 or 40 weeks. And we were shocked and taken back that he would have been born so early, especially since I had stopped drinking. I took my precious tiny baby that weighed 1 pound, 1 ounce, and measured a mere 11 inches. The smallest baby I had ever seen. And I was taken back as a mother. And I could see how much that little boy was fighting to stay alive. He was in the NICU for 3 months. And that was a really difficult time for me. And for the next 8 months, I had to do a lot of work to make sure that the baby is breathing. And it for 2 years, it took a long time for us to adapt. And he's now 7 years old, and he has become the sweetest, most loving brother to his sister. My daughter, Flower, everything was going well. When she was born, when we were at the hospital, things were crazy because I was upset because they tested her 5 times. They gave her 5 different hearing tests. And I finally, and I knew that she was deaf. And I had to stop the providers and tell them that they needed to stop because we're happy with it. There's no reason to keep testing her hearing because I felt frustrated. Maybe one false negative would have been enough, but they wanted to keep testing. And there really wasn't a good reason. After about a year, she was about a year old. As a family, we were struggling financially, and we were relying on alcohol to soothe ourselves and to stay calm. In 2018, we went to Council Bluffs for a deaf event that was being held there. We were going to stay at the hotel, but the weather was really bad. My son was sick, so we decided to get a room and stay the night. My family, rightly so, was concerned. And a good friend that I had grown up with brought food and other things that we needed. The doorbell was accessible for people with deaf, and my friends came. A deaf cousin came, and they wanted to know what some documents said. I got on my laptop and started talking with them. A policeman came in without ringing the doorbell and letting us know. The person just walked in. We started writing back and forth. The police officer would write and then speak, and I kept telling him that I'm deaf, and I asked him repeatedly to please get a sign language interpreter because I didn't understand what he was writing to me because English isn't my native language. The longer the officer was there, the more frustrated he got. And I just got this feeling that he just hated me just for the color of my skin. It was 3:00 in the afternoon. My kids were sleeping, they're napping. And I remember the anger and the frustration of that officer. The EMT came to check on the kids to see if I had harmed them or done anything to them. And I felt like I had no other choice other than to say, sure, you're welcome to check them. Because what else could I do? And the EMT said, they're fine. There's no problem. They seem to be fine. They reported that back to the officer. The officers explained that I was going to be arrested for neglect of my children and because there were too many people there. But it was completely unfounded. Our children were detained. I was put in jail. I was torn. I was upset because I had done everything right. I had asked for an interpreter. I had granted them permission to check my children, but they wouldn't cooperate with me. I was cooperating and I was doing everything, like I said, everything right, but they wouldn't. They wouldn't work with me. When I got to the booking, I was standing in a room. I guess they called it detox. I remember standing there and seeing the door slide open and thinking that someone might call me or that they had called me. So I walked through and I went to the window where the officer was. And the officer got mad and confronted me and started yelling at me, knowing that I was deaf, even though it was the same person. He nearly hit me. He became really aggressive and got in my face, but I couldn't understand. And I felt completely powerless. And as a mother, because I wanted to know where my children were, I couldn't communicate. And I was treated so horribly. I mean, I could see the anger and the disgust and in his face and in his body. And at that point, they said that I was going to be charged with child abuse or for assault and for negligence. And all because I walked through a door. It was awful. And at that moment, I thought my life is over. And I didn't want to live anymore. I felt like my reason to live was gone because I didn't know what I was going to do to get my kids back. I was confused. I thought I was doing everything right. They kept me in jail for 2 days. And fortunately, my tribe's family services heard what had happened. They got word and they went and retrieved the children because there's a law that says that they cannot detain Indigenous children and separate them from the family. So they were from the tribe. So fortunately, my mother was able to pick them up and take care of them. Meanwhile, I was in jail, still unable to communicate with anyone because there was no interpreter. They tried to give me a TTY, and I tried to communicate with my family that way. And when I was finally released, it was like a day later, there were a lot of rumors about me. And I still didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. It was like I was just turned loose and I had to try to figure it out on my own. I decided to move forward and I went home. The first thing I did was hug my kids and tell them how much they mean to me. But then there's the foster process, and letting them go, because I was drinking heavily, knowing that I needed to go to therapy was rough, and after about a month, I hit rock bottom. I was crying. I had lost my will to live. And that day, you could say I saw the light. I felt a spirit, maybe an angel, watching over me. And I had the strongest feeling that I could tell that I just needed the light that I saw instructed me to stop drinking. So I turned to my tribe's services for addiction and recovery. I sought out treatment and help. I went to court and I went through a lot because the police hate victims and they hated me. They hate me. And I've been hit and it's awful. I've gone through so much, and the effort it took just to get my children back is surmountable in a lot of ways. It's hard to imagine and hard to describe, but I'm so grateful that I was able to do it. And I'm so proud that I accomplished that. And now, because of my experience, I can advocate for others and I can help others. Having had that experience, I know what the police officers can do to a brown person. I now know how to fight back. Knowing that I've had these experiences and had to walk that path and take that journey, it's something that I would never, ever wish on anyone else. I can't tell you how many nights I had nightmares. But I did learn how to walk forward with my children. And that journey forward hasn't stopped. It hasn't ended. And it takes effort to put one foot in front of the other and give my kids the future and teach them what they will give to the future. I have been invited to the White House for Women's Month. So from rock bottom to the top of the mountain, it's been a journey. The healing has taken so much work, but persevering has been worth it, because there's more here on this journey to healing than I could have ever imagined. I know that we all have a story to share, and my advice to you is to keep going. Don't give up. Keep going, because you never know what's in store. You never know what the next step is going to bring. You never know what's around the corner, what's coming next. I'm a mother. I'm a survivor. I'm a victim. I'm a fighter. I am a woman. I am deaf. I am Indigenous. This is me. And that helps me stay strong, because I know who I am. And it gives me the strength to fight and support others. I am so grateful for the opportunity that I've had to come and share my experience and story with you. I hope it encourages you. And the life I have lived is life. It's hard. I thought I would never smile again, but here I am, and I'm smiling. So I would encourage you to keep going, because you never know what's in store. Thank you. Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you so much for that powerful and inspiring message that you shared with us today. I could really see all that you've been through to get where you are. I think it's important for us to be aware that the safety of our freedoms from abuse is a journey itself. And a lot of people have to go through a lot of hard times and bad experiences and difficult places to heal. And I speak for most of us here when I say it was so amazing and so inspiring to hear you speak of on your platform about your advocacy and allyship and your advocacy for all of the people around you and for our community to make this world a better place for us and for our children. So now I just want to take a moment to ask all of you to join us in our attempt to end abuse by donating any amount of money that you can. We will be using this money to work on the goals we have set to help heal our survivors. The amount that we've raised so far We're putting it in the chat. We'll put it there shortly so that you're aware. If you do donate more than $250 today, you will receive a 4x8 brick. And we'll pull up on screen share and let you see a picture of the brick that you will receive. So with that brick, you will have an opportunity to put up to 2 lines, and that will be added to the outside of the ADWAS building in our paver. And I wanted to take a moment just to mention that ADWAS is committed to dismantling racism and to promoting equity and social justice. So in order for us to move forward in that journey, we ask that you participate, and now you go forth with new intention, building together the pathway towards a healing future. Thank you.